You're listening to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio with Rick Thompson, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, welcome to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio. I am your host, Rick Thompson. This show is about sobriety and recovery. Each week, we discuss a different topic relating to addiction with the aim that you can gain some insight, guidance, and hope from our discussions. We focus the show in 3 different segments. 1, the viewpoint of the families dealing with the family members suffering from alcoholism and addiction, so they may assist them in obtaining treatment. 2, the psychological trauma and emotional damage alcoholics and addicts and their families experience. 3, the role of the insurance companies and associate providers and their part in the recovery process. Good evening, welcome to the show. Tonight we have a special guest in the studio and a close friend of mine in recovery, the lovely and effervescent Mandy. Good evening, Mandy. How are you?
Good evening, Rick. I'm wonderful tonight. How about you?
I'm good. We're going to take a different avenue tonight. We're going to talk about 2 different topics. In the first segment, we will address the topic of the internet porn and the effect that it has on adolescent males. In the second segment, we will address the ongoing legal saga of Mr. Chris Batham, the former CEO of Community Recovery of Los Angeles, who has since resigned his position over alleged allegations against him of drug use, insurance fraud, and sexual battery by numerous female clients. This is a topic that I never really took into consideration because I didn't know much about it. I wasn't the kind of guy that watched porno. I did it one time. I was learning how to become a hot air balloon pilot. Now, you can't make this up. This is in 1983, and I was living in Cincinnati with the woman that owned part of a hot air balloon company. And so we had all gone to this pilot's house one night to get loaded, because that's what pilots do, is they drink and get loaded. And so we were at this guy's house, and we're all getting hammered. And there's this big screen TV, which, compared to today was not much, but and there's like 20 people looking at this thing. And I walked up after having just inhaled something that was detrimental to my frontal lobe area. And there was this activity going on, which could be only viewed as bizarre at best. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I don't get it. I just couldn't, I don't want to say what I was going to say. I'm just going to say it, wrap my head around it. But literally, my frontal lobe area, I just couldn't process it. These other people are hooting and hollering and all this stuff, and that's fine. And so, during the years, I never got into it, so it never hit me. And then I talked to one of our guest hosts, Dr. Mary Koster, and Mary, her primary practice, to the best of my knowledge, is dealing with men who have internet porn addiction and porn addiction. And we had a conversation about this a few months ago, and we had another conversation about it yesterday in reference to where there was so many adolescent males that are of the age, could be 10 to 17, that are so involved in pornography and watching pornography on the internet because it is endless, that it damages them, and it damages the way that their brains grow. And their social skills are next to nothing. So I'm going to read a little bit here from some documentation that I pulled down off the internet. One is by a Mr. Malamuth, Pornography's Impact on Male Adolescents. Now, this is the Department of Communication, University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Some male adolescents in American society may be harmed by exposure to pornography. Unfortunately, little social scientific research directly addresses this issue, partly because of the severe ethical and political constraints on researchers who might attempt to conduct experiments. For example, an ethics committee is unlikely to approve an experiment in which the researcher exposed adolescents to pornography. Therefore, the discussion below is organized around several interrelated questions and propositions that provide tentative conclusions based largely on inferences from related theory and research. This chapter, however, does not consider other potential effects of pornography exposure, including those considered beneficial by some, but focuses exclusively on the hypothesis of possible harmful effects. The effects of pornography on female adolescents are also not discussed in this chapter. How is pornography defined? Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart intoned that although pornography may be difficult to define, he knew it when he saw it. This famous statement highlights the difficulties of definition. Lentz and Malamuth note that various definitions typically imply beliefs about what pornography does or does not do. For example, a definition based upon an appeal to a prurient, morbid, unhealthy, shameful interest in sex, as used in many decisions of American courts, reveals a belief that media materials designed primarily to arouse viewers sexually or to produce lust undermine certain Judeo-Christian values and institutions. In contrast, a definition that includes the concept of violence and degradation of women reveals a belief that such media can hurt women's rights. I concur with that, personally. The impact of pornography is relevant to prevention of child sexual abuse and exploitation for a variety of reasons. Further, research shows the impact of media on children and youth. The violent media impacts children and youth. Sexual objectification, the portrayal of a child as a thing for others' sexual use, impacts the mental and physical health of girls. Sexualized mainstream media contributes to an earlier onset of sexual behavior in youth. Newer media appears to have an even greater impact. The result of a recent meta-analysis shows a significant overall relationship between pornography consumption and attitudes supporting violence against women in non-experimental studies. This relationship was to be found significantly stronger for violent pornography than for nonviolent pornography, although both types of pornography showed significant positive associations with attitudes supporting violence against women. This may translate into considerable social and practical significance when considered across larger populations. A larger concern is the impact on children who grow, develop, and learn about themselves, their gender, and relationships through the lens of pornified culture. This pornified environment, paired with the lack of healthy messages and images, affects their vulnerability to victimization, perpetration, and effective bystander action. What do you think about that, Mandy?
I would, in general, agree with that. The only thing that I would only disagree with is the specification of women, and only women, because there's also gay porn, and with men and boys.
Yes.
So that is my only objection. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I would concur, counselor.
Yeah.
So yes.
Excuse me.
I would agree with all of those statements, except for only limiting it towards girls and women, and objectifying women and girls specifically, and only limiting it to that, and limiting it to I'm repeating myself, so yes. But that's my only
I think that there's such a
objection.
Vast array of this insanity that's out there.
Exactly. That's so. Yeah, I think
you've got the lesbian thing going on with the older women and the younger girls, and then you've got the stuff that is. I guess this is a generic evaluation on my part, but I'm thinking offshore porn. The stuff that you can't get.
There's transgender, and there's like Thailand. There's the
right.
I think it's much broader than that statement. Those statements that you made, that they said, but that's a very. I think that's a very Americanized. I think that's kind of antiquated, and I don't think that. I don't know. So I don't think it's complete.
Well, there's,
in my opinion,
right. I mean, there's just so many different variables connected with this of sexual preference,
exactly,
or sexual fetish.
I was about to say there are lots and lots of fetishes that those statements did not cover.
They're basically just looking at the young boys looking at porno of heterosexual pornography.
Yeah, heterosexual.
Right.
Actually, that's kind of a benign porn that they're covering.
Right.
Kind of that's Playboy.
Well, that's Playboy.
That's not everything else.
Well, yeah, but what their study is based on, I think, to a larger degree, is that these guys, these kids, are looking at these endless streams of different types of. Let's just assume that their preference is heterosexual, and so you start getting involved in the S&M kind of a thing, and you got that going on, and the bar gets so high, with the chronic masturbation and all of the other stuff that's going on, that there's no way that these guys can even relate to a girl of their own age.
No, not even.
It's impossible.
Not even remotely.
And so the damage that's being done to them emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually, I don't know if that can be repaired or not. I guess it could. It would take a professional to give their opinion on that. We're going to have Dr. Mary Koster on here for the whole hour next week and talk about this again. But I want to go back to something here. It says that a study of 804 Italian males and females aged 14 to 19 found pornography use and sexual violence were significantly correlated. Females who watched pornography videos were at significant greater likelihood of being a victim of sexual harassment or sexual assault, while males who viewed pornography were significantly more likely to report having sexually harassed a peer or forcing someone to have sex.
I think what happens quite often, and it's just like, violence, just even regular non-sexual violence in movies, that we get desensitized.
True.
So there's that I'm going to try to say this word, desensitization.
That's close. That's good.
That happens where if a boy or any person is exposed early enough to pornography, and especially violent pornography, and this may be even before they're actually having sex.
More likely than not.
More likely than not. And this is what they're exposed to, and I was not exposed to pornography early, but I'm going to imagine that I was, and let's say I'm exposed to this, and I'm going to imagine that I'm thinking that this is what sex is. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm going to imagine that these adolescents are thinking, oh, this is what sex is supposed to be. And it's endless. They're watching this, and they're exposed to more extreme, and they're desensitized, so it's like any other drug. You're building a tolerance. And so now I'm going to go have sex. And what am I going to do? I'm going to go try this out, but I'm watching.
You're going to repeat the behavior you've seen on the screen.
Like anything else I've learned, it's learned behavior. So what am I going to go do? I'm going to go try what I've learned. So, and
the girls who don't know and haven't been talked to correctly by their mother or their father in reference to that matter, they're going to think that's what's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
So now you've got the damage, creates more damage, which creates more damage.
Right. And then there's peer pressure on top of that.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot different than it was when I was a kid in the early 70s, where you wouldn't even think about anything like that,
No. No.
Never.
No.
Ever. It's like, and if you even tried like that, the girl would probably slug you,
It's really, really interesting because even a couple, maybe even, it's so weird to me. I mean, I'm a Gen Xer, and millennials now are like, anal sex is normal as a teenager.
Yeah.
And that to me is, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
To me, we didn't even think about that as a teenager.
Right, of course not.
That was not even on the scope.
Right.
As a teenager.
Of course not.
And now they will even do that before before vaginal sex, because to a lot of teenagers, if you have anal sex, you're still a virgin.
That's true. Technically,
they go, oh, well, I haven't lost my virginity because I've only had oral and anal sex.
Right.
And to me, that's like...
Well, that's twisted thinking. I mean, that's really twisted thinking.
And a lot of that is because of porn.
Of porn and programming and information that's out there that isn't deciphered or edited by their parents.
It's kind of... But it's...
That's like an acquired fetish. I mean, that's been going on since the beginning of time in caveman days. But the thing is, that's an acquired fetish and shouldn't be the first thing out of the gate.
No,
under any circumstances.
But a lot of that is because of internet.
Yes.
Millennial, like porn, and the reconstruction of sexual construct of what is like I don't know how to word this. It's kind of a whole reconstruction of sexual norm, kind of.
Yeah, well, the thing is that's not the norm, and even though they try to make it the norm, there's going to be repercussions for that kind of behavior on one of many levels.
And I'm not one for guilt and shame
of
sexuality in any kind of way whatsoever. But again, it's kind of been skewed in some kind of perspective kind of way.
That's
I don't
true.
know.
We're going to take a break and we'll be back in just a minute. I would like to take a moment and talk to you about the Villa Treatment Center. Their integrated substance abuse and dual diagnoses program rests on foundational principles of personal responsibility, structure, and service. Whether you are at the beginning of your recovery journey or farther along the road, the Villa Treatment Center offers an individual plan to suit all of your recovery needs. Detoxification by doctors specializing in addiction medicine, residential treatment, transitional living, day treatment, and full care outpatient services are available. Please call 818-505-6900 for further information. That's 818-505-6900 and begin your recovery now. The website for Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio is www.latalkradio.com. Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio is on Channel 1. We are broadcasting live from our studios every Sunday at 6 p.m. West Coast time. All of our shows are archived on the www.latalkradio.com site and can be accessed 24/7. Our call number is 323-203-0815. That's 323-203-0815. And now back to our show. Okay, and we're back. I'm going to read a little bit more here because I found this to be so interesting when I was going through the internet today and reading about this. Between the ages of 12 and 20, the human brain undergoes a period of great neuroplasticity. The brain is a malleable phase which draws billions of new synaptic connections, which billions of new synaptic connections are made. This leaves us vulnerable to the influence of our surroundings and leads our brains to be wired around the experiences and information they receive during that time period. When an adolescent boy compulsively views pornography, his brain chemistry can become shaped, and his sexuality and relationships can create an expectation for real-life experiences that will never be fulfilled. Pornography can be exciting for an adolescent boy to watch, but it can also be intimidating. It's like the average size of a male porn star's erect penis is 8 inches long. Also, 85% of the female porn stars have breast implants, and 100% of the pictures of porn centerfolds have been enhanced, according to Men's Health in March 2004. Pornography shows us a world where relationships mean nothing, and immediate sexual gratification means everything. Therefore, the adolescent viewer's brain is being wired to expect that sex and relationships are separate from one another, and that men and women's bodies should be sexually exaggerated as they are in porn, which can lead to shame about one's own body as well as failure to be aroused by the bodies of others. Pornography on the internet can be very inexpensive, easy to access, easy to hide. Many adolescents look at pornography when their parents think they are doing homework. While masturbating to porn, the adolescent brain is being shaped around a sexual experience that is isolating, visceral, and completely void of any love. or compassion. This has the potential to lead to great problems in sexual compulsivity and sex addiction throughout the adolescent boy's life because his brain gets shaped to expect the heroin-like porn dopamine rush from his real-life sexual experiences. When he realizes that actual sexual experiences are lacking this rush, he may seek out riskier and more visceral experiences that resonate within his early porn use. Now, this is, obviously a scary vision for generations to come, where men's brains have been pornicized, and I didn't make that word. That's just the way it is. In adolescence, to lead to a lifetime of sexual pathology. Sexual pathology. That's interesting.
That's scary.
That's scary because that means, as soon as I hear that, I'm thinking rape. I'm thinking bondage. I'm thinking twisted. I'm thinking of kidnapping. I'm thinking of those poor girls that were in Cleveland that were locked up there for 10 years. That kind of horse shit. And, that's... It's surprising to me that the government, the feds, have not stepped in and done something about this and just made it illegal. You can go fly the flag up on the First Amendment all you want, but when you're damaging the babies, when you're damaging babies, which is what they're children, they're babies, you got to draw a line. You have to draw a line. Because if you don't, then we're going to be creating an entire generation of unfeeling monsters out there that are going to do serious damage to girls. And I think that's completely unacceptable to me, personally. What do you think, man?
Well, there's a fine line, and there's got to be there's a balance, and I think I have to think about this for a moment because to panic and I understand what you're saying. Rick. To an extent, because you don't want to create sociopathy in any manner. That's for sure. But I don't, and I do believe there is a greater problem with this. I do believe that. And I've seen, I do know some people as adults who are struggling with this problem. So I personally, I know some adults who are struggling with this problem.
So do I.
And so I have seen it firsthand. And there, of course, we see a lot of television shows and blah, blah, blah. And so it is very, very real. But to go out and, ban all of it, banning alcohol and banning cigarettes and banning, like a blanket... we have seen in the past that doesn't work. I think we have to learn from our past experience in that regard, that a panic at the disco, banning of it in fear, a fear response doesn't work with human beings. So I think there's another solution. I don't quite know what that is. Mm-hmm. I haven't sat down. I think there's another solution.
Do you think there should be stipulations put in place?
Yes, I do, absolutely. I don't know what those are.
Safeguards.
Absolutely.
Or there has to be some kind of a code. There needs to be some kind of key. May it be in the internet or whatever, to where it's virtually impossible for anybody to get access to this kind of pornography that is underage. There's got to be some, it just surprises me that the NSA has not come up with some kind of software somebody has not designed something to keep this from coming to fruition.
Here's the thing, actually. I actually think it's more about, quite frankly, this is my view, and my view sometimes can be controversial. My view really is truly about education and communication and teaching our children about the human body and earlier and really the beauty of the human body and kind of not the shame of the human body,
of course,
but really truly really early on in childhood, not to teaching our children about being naked, teaching our children about not being shameful
about bodies,
nature and even sex and our sexuality. But again, my view is not very widely accepted, especially in America. So it's very controversial. But hey, I don't bullshit. I shoot from the hip.
Right.
And I really feel that our society would be way better off if we told our kids the truth and were honest and educated our kids way earlier. So therefore, our kids weren't hiding and sneaking porn. And our kids weren't shameful, and therefore they weren't trying to sneak porn and weren't trying to up their experiences and weren't trying to dopamine themselves,
right.
and were experiencing love and experiencing nature,
right.
and embracing their bodies, and they didn't have to sneak porn, and they didn't have to do that.
That's true, and that'd be great if that was going on, but that's not what we're dealing with here.
I know that's not what we're dealing with, but that's my view. So,
your viewpoint's well taken, because I agree that there needs to be more education. There has to be. You have to start hitting these kids when they're in first grade and start slowly acclimating them to who they are, what this is about, and what the parameters should be within reason as far as love is concerned, and the physical touch and sex is concerned.
By not talking to our kids, by shutting everything down, by not communicating, by hiding stuff, by restricting, and by shaming, I think that personally, my viewpoint is...
Well, that's damaging. That's obviously damaging.
That's the damaging stuff.
That is damaging.
And that's my view. And again, it's highly controversial, and most of the country disagrees with me. So...
Okay. State Senator Todd Weiler in Utah has introduced a resolution to the Utah legislature calling on the state to recognize and oppose the destructive, addictive nature of pornography. Disturbingly, this legislative action is based on hyperbole and morality, ignoring much of what is known about pornography and its effects. Further, the senator's resolution relies on pseudoscience in a manner which has no place in governmental action. The bill suggests that pornography represents a public health crisis, damaging teens' brains, affecting the state of marriage, increasing the rates of rape and sexual violence, and causing a host of other social problems. Wheeler calls on the state government. But it would take too long to address in entirety of any of this substantial claims made by Wheeler. He suggests that pornography exposure causes low self-esteem in teens, and of course I would think it would do that, and leads to risky sexual behaviors. In fact, a massive study in the United Kingdom, which reviewed over 40,000 research articles on the effects of porn on teens, was unable to substantiate any such effects. It's really an amazing topic, and we just scratched the surface on this, and we're going to get Dr. Mary Koster on next week, and we're going to go into it a little further, and we'll be back after this message. I would like to take a moment and talk to you about the Villa Treatment Center. Their integrated substance abuse and dual diagnoses program rests on foundational principles of personal responsibility, structure, and service. Whether you are at the beginning of your recovery journey or farther along the road, the Villa Treatment Center offers an individual plan to suit all of your recovery needs. Detoxification by doctors specializing in addiction medicine, residential treatment, transitional living, day treatment, and full care outpatient services are available. Please call 818-505-6900 for further information. That's 818-505-6900 and begin your recovery now. The website for Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio is www.latalkradio.com. Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio is on Channel 1. We are broadcasting live from our studios every Sunday at 6 p.m. West Coast time. All of our shows are archived on the www.latalkradio.com site and can be accessed 24/7. Our call number is 323-203-0815. That's 323-203-0815. And now back to our show.
And we're back. The second topic of this show tonight is about rehab mogul Chris Batham. The founder and board chairman of a chain of more than 20 sober living houses and outpatient clinics in California and Colorado, and the subject of an LA Weekly cover story from last December, has been sued 3 times in the past 3 months for allegations ranging from wrongful termination to sexual battery and no, we're not watching Law and Order. The most recent lawsuit filed 2 weeks ago by a pair of former patients, last year, by a pair of former patients at one of Batham's community recovery Los Angeles facilities alleges that Batham isolated and targeted the plaintiffs and other women to prey on their addictions by using and supplying drugs around them, moving them around to isolated hotel rooms, remote locations, encouraging them to use drugs with him, and sexually molesting them when they were higher and incapable of consent. Now, Batham has denied nearly every charge leveled against him to the LA Weekly and in court filings, and in February filed a lawsuit against LA Weekly, parent company Voice Media Group, claiming the December cover story contained multiple defamatory statements that were injurious of Batham's trade, business, and profession. Now, an update. Chris Batham has resigned as chairman of Community Recovery and has been relieved of all responsibilities. Now, this pretty much happened after there was a 2020, and the whole segment was done on him, and they actually interviewed him, and I watched this, and it was quite fascinating to watch the interaction between Mr. Batham and the interviewer, and it was an hour long. 2020, and the majority of the program was devoted to the claims of 3 women, all former patients of his Community Recovery Los Angeles enterprise. I'm just going to use their first names, even though it is public record. The first girl's name was Amanda, second Dana, and third Erica, who are suing Batham for fraud and sexual battery. Now, a few months ago, I had Alan Schimmel on here, who's the attorney who's representing the plaintiffs against Mr. Batham. The suit alleges that Batham himself is a heavy drug user with a long history of predatory behavior. Batham specializes in targeting young women who have suffered childhood traumas and or sexual abuse, who are particularly vulnerable. Batham used offers of scholarships, internships, and other rewards and inducements to young women to encourage them to trust Batham and to permit Batham and CRLA to misappropriate insurance money by billing for services which Batham masqueraded as treatment, but which involved him engaging in sexual and drug abuse towards plaintiffs and other clients. In addition to facing allegations of sexual battery, Batham has also been accused of filing hundreds of fraudulent insurance claims. The FBI and the LA District Attorney both confirmed in 2020 that Batham is under investigation. In the 2020 episode, Reardon claimed that Batham suffered a drug overdose after a 3-day drug-fueled orgy with her and 2 other female patients. Batham has denied these allegations, but 2020 obtained an incident report showing Batham was rushed to the hospital to be treated for a drug overdose on December 9. The episode also featured the manager of the Malibu Riviera Motel, who said he helped revive Batham and called 911. The manager gave 2020 photographs he took that night showing a needle, an ambulance, and Batham's white Tesla with Batham's license plate. When confronted with the information by 2020's Matt Gutman, Batham frantically denied the whole incident. You got to understand something. Batham stammered. You're in a world of accusation that's amazingly complex, that has people saying all kinds of crazy things that come out in a trauma-filled world. All I can tell you is there's certainly easy ways to explain that. How do you abstractly explain how it could be falsified? Gutman asked of the overdose claim. Identity theft, Batham said, which is already being investigated by the Sheriff's Department. You'll find my name in dozens of places in dozens of cities over Southern California in that period of time. I wasn't there. Someone else was representing me. You got to love this guy. He could never look this cat in the eye while he was talking to him either. I mean, you can go on YouTube and pull this up. This guy's unbelievable. Dozens of places in which your identity has been used falsely, asked in incredulous Gutman. Yes, Batham replied. This isn't exactly an unusual crime in this day and age, unfortunately. It is a bit unusual when someone is transported to the hospital under a name that's been stolen, Gutman said. I agree, Batham responded. Batham also denied sending this Facebook message to Reardon after the overdose. You know, now this is one scenario that we know of. Our kid that's gotten a lot of heat because it's in L.A. and, you know, there's all the connotations that come with being out here. But you got to figure for every one that we know of, there's got to be at least 8,000 to 10,000 that we don't know. This is going on everywhere. And I'm just really surprised that on the state level there hasn't been some legislation passed for some oversight on this. I mean, this is crazy. And some of these people are starting these sober living homes.
They're working on it.
It's just like it's the Wild West, and you know, these people. It comes down to this for me personally. If you are going to open up a sober living house or treatment center, you are ethically and morally held to a higher standard that you are going to accept these damaged people, broken people that have nowhere else to go. This is it. They're trying to save their lives because they had a moment of clarity realizing that they're going to fucking die if they don't. And then you're going to take these girls in or these boys in or whatever, either one, and manipulate them and get them high and rape them. In my opinion, my personal opinion, if you have someone in that environment that's trying to get sober and you get them high, they are not in a position to make a cognizant decision one way or the other if they can have sex or not. In my eyes, if I was a juror, that would be rape. And that person should go bye-bye for a long, long time. I personally have a different way I would deal with that, but I'm not going to get into. Well, I'm thinking stake them down, honey on the naughty bits. Let them sit there for a couple hours and then just get some really hungry red ants, dump them on the naughty bits, take a walk for about a day or so. That's really, I think, all they deserve.
I say rats. I say get rats.
Okay, we're talking rats now. We've gone from red ants to rats. Well, yeah, rats. That would do it. Rats would do it. Getting serious for a minute. It sickens me to see this. What really disturbed me, but when I watched this 2020 interview with this idiot, and all of these charges are alleged, this man has been able to operate and make millions of dollars off of dying people and sick people, and has operated like this, allegedly, for years. And it's like someone went to sleep here. And it's a wonder, a miracle, that nobody's died. And you have to ask yourself, here's this one isolated incident, situation, and we don't think anybody's died. We haven't been told anybody's died. But how many other places in America where these girls commit suicide, or these boys commit suicide because of the shame? And it's, you go to somebody and go, I'm dying, please help me, I don't want to die. And then you get sold out like that, after you've been probably sold out by your mother, your father, your brother, your family, your best friends, the person you thought you loved, and you're standing there and you're holding your guts in your hand, just trying to get some kind of human compassion, and then that kind of shit happens. It just...
Excuse me, people have died because
I'm sure they have.
Because they're overdosing and they're getting loaded because of the guilt and the shame. You know, as a direct result of something like this happening.
Well, I would think that, you know, somebody would see this and want to do something about it. Some elected official, some politician would do something about this from a moral standpoint, but we know that most politicians they're politicians, but they'll use anything they can to get elected.
Well, there's a related article. Here's a related story. Where is this? I just read this. California may regulate sober livings. And it says, authored by Republican Assemblywoman Melissa Melendez, was approved by the Assembly Health Committee this week. The bill would create an optional state certification that sober living homes could apply for. The state would then maintain a list of accredited facilities which consumers would hopefully use. Okay, so I guess Melissa Melendez, I don't know where she is or where she's out of, is working on this. Or I guess it was approved this week, this past week. So, you know, apparently, the state is finally paying attention to this. Now, I know for a fact that in terms of sexual harassment in general, you know, AA has been paying attention to it. As I know, as a member myself, I have no problem giving up my anonymity. That, you know, on a national, I think even on a world, and an international level, they're paying attention to it and taking group consciences about being able to, you know, 86 people from meetings.
Sure, monitor what's going on.
Monitoring what's going on
safe.
for inappropriate behavior.
Absolutely, and there should be. Because there's a lot of predators, and we've seen
predators.
especially, you know, out here. We've seen the predators. I mean, they're
I
unbelievable.
actually know of people personally who behave this way,
right?
And you know, we pay attention.
We have to,
and we warn our friends. I warn my girlfriends. I know I have male friends that warn their girlfriends because they are aware of their male counterparts who behave this way. And the ones who have integrity will warn their female friends to stay away from the predators. And, you know, there, you know, it is a fact of life that there are sick people in this world.
There's a lot of sick people in these rooms. Everybody in the rooms are sick, and there's just some, you know, are sicker than others. But again, going back to the simplicity of it, you know, when we came in, we were dying. We know we were dying, and we were dying. This is life and death. And
absolutely.
When somebody is hustling these girls or hustling these boys, and it happens on both sides. I've seen it.
Yeah.
You know, and you got newcomers, and they're young, and they're broken, and you've got some, you know, people have 4 or 5, 6, 7 years, and they're not exactly, their head's not screwed on tight, which doesn't give them the excuse to hurt somebody else.
No.
But they have the sexual issues, and so they start working out the sexual issues with these kids, not realizing that they're killing them. I mean, they're killing these people.
Absolutely.
Because the second that they think that that's all that's going on behind that last door, why stick around? You know?
And then the killer to boot on top of that with this guy is the money. The money on top of that, you know, charging, you know, for this with the sober living and the rehabs, you know,
and then signing them up for insurance when they don't have it so they can get paid,
Exactly.
which is the scam on most of these places out in Malibu that I've seen. And I'm not saying all of them are like that,
No.
but a lot of them are like that because some of these people come in and they don't have any cash. So the guy goes, well, look, I can get you signed up for an insurance policy, and they'll pay the premium and get the money. And it's just, it's a racket, and it shouldn't be a racket, but yet it is a racket. And it's a sad state of affairs.
Truly.
But
a lot of these places, are doing it truly only for the money, and they will.
No, of course.
So it's just like it's completely sick and wrong.
It's
just
there's one guy I know that goes to a meeting, a men's stag that I go to, and he is one day he drives up in a Bentley convertible, the next day it's a Mercedes G-Wagon, the next day it's another thing, and the guy's got close to $1 million worth of cars, and I'm thinking, what's this guy doing? So I walked up to him and I said, let me ask you a question. How do you do what you do and look in the mirror? And this guy's got 11 years, and he gives me this quizzical look and this comeback, and I just put my hand up and say, if you're doing it right or you're doing it wrong, if it's a scam or if it's not a scam, if you're taking advantage of people or if you're not, and you're going to end up killing somebody by doing this shit because your heart's not in the right place, and what you're doing is, well, it's wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, the motivation, it's
money. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made. I mean, if you've got about $5,000 or $6,000 in cash, you can walk in and you can grab a house, and if the thing is zoned properly, you can run like hell with it. And there's banks that'll even loan you money if they know that's what you're doing because you've got the income coming in from the insurance companies. I mean, it's just it's ridiculous.
The whole thing really just kind of sits really nasty taste in my throat and my mouth and my stomach, and it just blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Well, Mandy, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This is really, thank you for having me.
Sure.
Yeah.
We are at the end of this week's show, but make sure to tune in next week for another hour of brutally honest recovery talk radio. Our mission is to provide a safe platform for those who are suffering from various forms of addiction. We are just people willing to listen and offer suggestions and help those in crises. And now we will leave you with the wisdom of the late, great John Flynn.
Disappointment. Disappointment is the caboose on the choo-choo train of expectation. Anything you want from anybody, you give them what you want from them. It's the only way you're going to get it. Life is about giving, not getting. Day at a time.
Say goodnight, Mandy.
Oh, good night. That was so awesome hearing Sarge. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And thank you for listening. Good night and good luck.
You're listening to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio with Rick Thompson, only on LA Talk Radio.